All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Welcome to our new 4-H family orientation. I am super excited to be here tonight. I hope you are as well. We do have a couple people still coming in, but in order for time, we're just gonna go ahead. Those of you joining online tonight, feel free to utilize the chat box, and we will have time for questions at the end as well, where you can unmute. Tonight's plan, we are gonna go over pledges. So that is something that at every 4-H meeting you should be doing. We're going to go do an overview and a history of 4-H, and then we're going to have a breakout session. So 4-Hers, you guys are actually going to get to go hang out with some of our junior leaders, which are 7th through 12th graders who have decided to take more of a leadership role within the 4-H program. You're going to play a fun game, learn a little bit more about 4-H with them. Parents, I promise you don't get to play a game, but you're not going to be super, super bored. So you get to hang out with me, and we'll go over some more details while they're over having some fun. And then we're going to come back together, talk about some upcoming events, deadlines, and information, and then have some Q&A at the very end. So right now, awesome. Look at that. I've got some junior leaders already up here. We're going to do 2 pledges tonight. The first is going to be the Pledge of Allegiance, and the second is going to be our 4-H pledge. The Pledge of Allegiance, if you need a refresher, the words are up on the screen for you. And then the 4-H pledge, we are going to go over together once. We'll go through the motions, and then we'll do it all together. So if you don't mind, please go ahead and stand up. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Got our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. Up next is the 4-H pledge. And those of you joining online, we're encouraging you to do this as well, so that you can get used to our pledge. So in 4-H, we have 4 H's, right? Head, heart, hands, and health. And each of those has an action that goes with it when we do our pledge. So when we say, I pledge my head to clear thinking, you're going to point to your head. My heart to greater loyalty, you're going to put your hand over your heart. My hands to larger service, you're going to hold your hands out. And then my health to better living, you're going to go kind of all through the body, because health is everything, right? From the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Health. For my club, my community, my country, and my world. Okay, I'm going to test you before we do this. So when we say head, where do you point? When we say hands, what do you do? Ooh, I got some tricky ones. What about heart? And health. Great job. Oh, 4-Hers, you guys totally got this. So we're going to do this all together. I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, my country, and my world. Thank you, junior leaders, for helping out as well. So welcome. A little bit about who I am, so that I'm not just some random person up here making you guys stand up and do pledges. My name is Katie Sweet. I'm the 4-H Youth Development Extension Educator for Hendricks County. That's a really long title for saying I have the coolest job in the world, because I get to work with kids just like you guys, and you online as well. I got my master's from North Carolina State University in Extension Education. Go Wolfpack. And I also got my bachelor's degree from Ball State University. So I joke that Purdue kind of got smart when they hired a Cardinal, but don't tell them that. So I'm a self-proclaimed 4-H nerd. I knew I wanted to do this job, be a 4-H educator by the time I was in 8th grade, and attended a 4-H trip to Purdue University with my 4-H group. So I love what I do. I have been in extension since 2013, and I have been in Hendricks County specifically as the educator since 2015. So I'm super excited to be here tonight. This is a picture from an enrollment blurb that we did a couple of years ago, being incredible. The kids got to pick what I wore for a week, and this was one of the outfits they picked. I also was a T-Rex that year, so that was a lot of fun. But I want to know who's here tonight. And if you want to type in the chat box online, or if you want to put your camera on so we can see you, raise your hand. So how many 4-H members do I have here tonight? If you're a 4-H member, 3rd through 12th grade, even if some minis stayed over, 1st and 2nd grade, 3rd through 12th grade, awesome, awesome. How about parents, guardians, aunts, uncles, adults in general? Awesome. How about volunteers? guess what? If you raised your hand on that last question, you could raise your hand on this question if you would like. But we'll talk about that more later. So an overview of what 4-H is, we are the largest non-formal youth serving organization in the country. So that means it's not quite structured like in school. We're non-formal, so lots of hands-on, lots of different opportunities for kids to explore their passions and explore what they're interested in, and maybe things they're not interested in and just don't know yet. We are a volunteer-led organization, so I wasn't kidding when I said you could be a volunteer. We do have a process for that, and the volunteers are super important because they make our program happen. And 4-H programs are designed to be hands-on, age-appropriate, and they're university-based because we are tied to Purdue University, which is our land-grant university. So a lot of our projects are research-based, and they have reasons behind why they are the way they are. And overall, our 4-H mission in Indiana is to provide real-life educational opportunities that develop young people who will have a positive impact in their communities and the world. Notice that that also doesn't say we are here just for the fair, right? There's lots more to 4-H than just the fair, but we'll talk about that soon. So pop quiz, who can tell me what our 4-H's are? We just did it. What's one of them? Hands, right. Health, yep. Heart. Head, yeah, you guys got it. Look at that. I didn't even have to give you the clue, the little cheater clue. Good job, guys. Some 4-H facts. Our emblem, you will see this lovely clover splattered all over the place. It is special. It can only be certain colors. Green and white is going to be where you most see it. It's on our newsletters. It's on our polos. It's just about everywhere you can find. We even have a big clover down in the middle of the fairgrounds too. A fun fact about that, our clover, is that it is very special because it is protected under the same guidelines as the presidential seal and the Olympic rings. So part of my job is I have to make sure we are using this clover appropriately and that it's being represented positively within the community. We have our motto, which is to make the best better. Our colors are green and white, and you'll see a lot of our projects fall into at least one of these categories: STEM, healthy living, and citizenship, which we now call civic engagement. We also have a lot of career exploration involved within our program, as well as leadership opportunities. So a brief history of 4-H, and this is just going to be very brief. We started with corn and tomatoes, and we have grown since then. But in 1902, things were changing in the farming world, and farmers were having a hard time adapting to those changes. Universities around the U.S. were saying that there's new and better ways to do things, but the farmers really just didn't want to listen. They may have been set in their ways. However, the university people started to realize that if they could teach kids and if they could challenge kids to a contest, a corn growing contest, who could grow the best corn, who could grow the most corn, they realized that those kids would be innovative. And so through tracking their corn growing process, tracking how they did that, sort of record keeping, 4-H started to grow. And that was sort of the very beginnings. Same thing with tomatoes. Youth were taught to plan their tomatoes. They were taught to plant, grow, harvest, and can, and then sell their tomatoes. Again, doing some record keeping, making sure their books were accurate, learning those life skills. Sounds a lot like 4-H, right? Well, the adults started to take notice. The adults started to realize that those kids that were growing corn for a contest, their corn was doing better than the corn that they had planted. So slowly but surely, kids were starting to change the way farming happened. Same thing with 4-H today. We may be rooted in agriculture, but look how much we have grown. This was one of our National Science Day workshops or programs, I think last year, Mars Base Camp. So from corn and tomatoes to talking about Mars and exploring space. We have done things like career exploration with some community partners. This is a group of kids at Area 31 Career Center for a 4-H program where they actually got to talk to a lot of different, explore a lot of different careers, one being criminal justice. This was a STEM in Nature Day where we actually had people from, I think, the National Weather Service come in and talk about what forms a tornado and some extreme weather. We have had trips that kids have got to go on. This was a junior leader completion trip where we went to Turkey Run one year. This was a mini 4-H Color Me Green fun run where they got to talk about healthy living and do some activities around the fairgrounds that ended with a color throwing party, which was a lot of fun. So we've grown a lot from agriculture, but we still have those agriculture roots. We still have those opportunities for youth to explore that, but we have a lot more now. So we are going to take some time now this evening to break out into different groups. So 4-Hers, you guys are going to head back to the corner. We've got some junior leaders over there with a fun activity for you. Parents, you're going to hang out here. Those of you that are online, sorry you're stuck with me for just a little bit longer, but I promise it won't be boring. So while they're breaking out, if you have questions in the chat box, I'm happy to answer. I'm going to check that. Nothing yet. Okay. So just to let you know what they're doing over there, they're going to kind of play almost a would you rather game that is related to projects to maybe see what they're interested in and maybe some projects that they would like to explore as 4-Hers. And the junior leaders are going to talk to them about what it means to be a junior leader too. So a little bit about how 4-H is set up in Hendricks County and really around the state too. We are part of Purdue Extension. So if you try and Facebook us, you're not going to find a Hendricks County 4-H Facebook page. You will find a Purdue Extension Hendricks County page because 4-H in Indiana falls under the land-grant university, which is Purdue. So if you went over to Ohio, you would find all of their 4-H programs come through Ohio State. You would find in North Carolina that all of their 4-H programs are ran through North Carolina State University. The land-grant institutions in each state oversees all of the 4-H programming within that state. And the way that works is also through funding. So Purdue University, Purdue Extension receives funds from the state government, USDA and NEPA at the national level, and then county governments as well. And then in return, we are able to provide resources, education, materials, connections, manpower in general to our communities. So I'm sort of the middleman. I have resources available for you guys that are tied to Purdue. In our county, we have a 4-H educator, me. We have an ag and natural resources and community development educator. He's the person that oversees things like master gardeners. He's the one that you would call if your tomatoes are getting eaten by bugs. Don't call me, definitely would not be the one to answer that question. We have a health and human sciences educator who does a lot of different classes related to health and human sciences. Again, things like canning. She helps with the extension homemakers. We also have a fourth person that I didn't get to update this, a community wellness coordinator who her goal is to reach out to the community and just improve the health of the community of Hendricks County. And she actually works here and then Putnam and Park counties as well. And then in our 4-H program, 4-H is in all 92 counties within Indiana. And each county is a little bit different, even though we're all under Purdue. So just out of curiosity, are there any 4-H alumni here? Like you were in 4-H when you were a kid? You did 4-H. Cool. And out of that, how many of you were not Hendricks County? You came from a different county. Cool. That's okay. Me too. I'm a transplant as well. And so Hendricks County 4-H is going to look a little bit different than other counties that you might go to. Growing up, I'm from Warren County, so a really small county up there. It's going to look a little different based on size, based on project offerings, but we are all here to live out that 4-H mission. As a 4-H educator, I do have an advisory board that kind of helps me plan programs. It looks at the county in general to see what needs we have that 4-H might be a part of. And then I work really closely with two boards. One being the 4-H Youth Council, and that's the policies and procedures group of Hendricks County 4-H. So our handbooks, their job is to make sure we're following all of the rules. Purdue supplies, National 4-H supplies, County would supply. All of our rules and guidelines are well representing the 4-H program. And then we have the 4-H Fair Board, and they put on a fantastic fair every year. And then we are also lucky to have these wonderful facilities that they help oversee and upkeep as well. And then you can see that part of our 4-H program, the biggest part, are our clubs, our workshops, our 4-Hers, and our volunteers. So that was just an overview of kind of how it's structured to give you a better idea. Some terminology that you as parents, guardians, helpers that might want to know. One is 4-H Online. This is our website that you signed up for 4-H Online, or you've signed up for 4-H for. It's where all of our enrollment is housed. It's our data management system, and we're going to talk about that a little more later. When I say handbook, that's talking about a booklet that's going to have all of our guidelines for 4-H projects. So if you want to be in photography, it's going to show you kind of what guidelines you have based on that project. When I say fair entry, that is a sister site to 4-H Online that's more focused on fair. So 4-H Online is going to be where you say, I'm in 4-H and I want to be in photography. Fair entry is going to be where you say, I'm bringing a poster with 10 pictures to the fair. Very fair specific. Project is a subject-specific activity completed through 4-H with the option to exhibit at the Hendricks County 4-H Fair. A lot of times when you think of projects, you're going to think of things like this up here. We think of posters, we think of displays. I'll show on mine too. We think of these kinds of projects that you see at fair. The animals you see at fair are considered projects. So tonight we're going to talk about, though, I'm a 4-H parent, guardian, helper. Now what? We're going to go over the top 10 questions that our office gets asked and a couple questions that we actually ask parents back when they ask us questions. So number 10 is, where can I find answers to my questions? The first is going to be the county handbook, and this is coming soon. I am coming off of a 4-month maternity leave, and so this is sort of my number one priority right now, getting this handbook finalized and to the printers. This is a picture from 2020. It was just one I happened to have on the computer. But this is where, again, all the guidelines are listed to each project. Our monthly newsletter is our Clover Connection. That has lots of information in it. And it can be overwhelming at times, but there are certain things you're always going to see in there. You're always going to see a calendar at the very end to make sure of upcoming dates. You're always going to see some sort of events section. So if it's camp that's coming up, what's coming up next, you're always going to see that. You'll have a message from me, and then you'll also see what's going on in other areas of extension too. So you can see kind of what's coming up, what should you be planning on, important information next. Project manuals, when I say project manuals, these are the things I mean for that. Oops. These are project-specific books that have activities and resources in them based on those projects. So for the foods project, if you are a 3rd or 4th grader, this is your book. It's going to have activities based on that grade level and information to help you complete your exhibit as well. Adult volunteer leaders, so club leaders, project leaders, council members, any volunteer within the 4-H program should be able to at least guide you to where you can find a better answer if they don't know the answer to your question. Our office, our new family guide, which is available tonight, as well as online. And then our brand new website as well has lots of information uploaded on it. Number 9 is, what is a club and how do I know which one to choose? So tonight, there is a bright yellow piece of paper on the table over there that has a listing of clubs that we currently know of when they're meeting and where they're meeting. A club is defined as a groups of youth and adults who meet on a regular basis and together practice positive youth development and cooperative learning. So these clubs meet throughout the county. We have 2 different types in Hendricks County. One is what we consider a community club, and those clubs are going to be spread out throughout the county, and they're going to talk about general 4-H things. So one meeting, they might talk about public speaking. One meeting, they might focus on photography. One meeting, maybe they're just solely going to do community service. They're going to kind of showcase a lot of different aspects of 4-H. And then we have project-specific clubs, which their meetings might also do those things, but it's going to focus solely on a project. For example, Sheep Club. if you show sheep, if you want to exhibit sheep, we encourage you to be a part of Sheep Club because those meetings are going to focus on good feeding habits for sheep. They're going to focus on, remember, here are the important dates related to sheep coming up. They might bring in a vet to talk about the importance of animal husbandry for sheep specifically. Shooting sports is going to talk about shooting sports related topics. So community club is a general, and then project specific is very specific on what they discuss at their meetings. Things to consider when you're thinking of a club for your kiddos. One is figure out what's going to work best for you. So maybe a club in your area meets on Tuesdays and you already have swimming on Tuesdays. It might work in your schedule, it might not. But maybe the club that meets on Thursdays is going to be a better option for you. You can be in any 4-H club within the county. So maybe you live in Brownsburg, but your kid's best friend is in Coatesville. If you would like to make that drive and be at a meeting that meets in Coatesville, by all means, that is totally up to you. You can also be in several clubs. So maybe you want to be in a community club because you're showing, because your 4-H'er is in arts and crafts and photography and llama craft. But they also want to show beef. They could be in a regular or a community club and beef club. It's really whatever works best for you guys and what can fit in your schedule. There is no required meetings for any club except for shooting sports. If you would like to participate in the live fire, you do have to go through a safety meeting. Higher risk for shooting sports. We want to make sure our kids are going to be safe. That is the only meeting that we can require. Everything else, it's just great for you to attend and be a part of. Oh, I did put on there, you can also always switch clubs. So I'm not going to go over all of this because I know it's a lot on the screen. But a question we get is, what should I expect at club meetings? You should expect your club leaders to be able to help you find answers. They should be courteous. They should be respectful of you and your kids. You should see clubs being led by youth. We are a youth organization, so clubs should be led by youth. If you came to a junior leader meeting, you would see our officers up leading the meeting. I've discussed with them what needs to happen. We have a game plan, but they're the ones that are responsible for making sure the meeting goes as planned. The meeting should be prepared. You guys should be well communicated with. Again, if there's any questions, you can reach out to the leader directly or to us as well. Oops. Uh-oh. I might have some annotation issues. Hold on. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay. They should have a good mix of business, recreation, and education. And they should be fun, educational, and have the opportunity for kids to experience something too. What you should not expect, though, is for your club leaders to babysit your kids. You should not expect them to do the work for your kids. And you should not expect them to have to track down 4-H members to deliver information directly to you every single time, or be available 24/7. I have had a time or two 4-H'ers try and email me at 11 o'clock at night when something is due at midnight. I may or may not answer depending on how my 5-month-old is handling things. But I would prefer not to be getting those emails at 11 o'clock at night. And I'm sure your club leaders wouldn't want that either. And don't expect your club leaders to be perfect. They're human too. Number 7 is, how does my child pick projects? And the question we ask of parents is, what is your kid into? What do they like to do? Do they like Legos? Do they like drawing? Do they like taking pictures? Do they like robots? Do they like animals? Figure out what your kid is interested in. Tonight we have our quick guide, which just showcases a really brief description of every single project we offer. Also available online on our website. But it's a good idea to start with 1 or 2 projects. You can always start with more. That's perfectly fine too, but do what's comfortable for your kid. We just encourage starting with 1 or 2 to see what they like and maybe don't like. Check out a project workshop or 2. A lot of our project workshops really get gearing up in the spring and go into summer as well. as we get closer to fair. But we do have sometimes that happen over the winter months as well. Talk with your club leader, talk with your friends. What are they interested in? What are they doing? If there's something that you want to try that's brand new, go to one of the meetings. Follow one of the friends around for a while and see what they like to do at their club meetings or their project meetings. And then once you guys decide what your best options are for the kiddos, enroll them in that project on 4-H Online by May 15th. That's when we really try and have all of our projects in 4-H Online so we can then really focus on fair and make sure that all the information is getting out to our families in a timely manner. So how do you learn about what projects to do? I mentioned one resource is our quick guide. The handbook is going to be another one. Project workshops, advisors, leaders, clubs, and then the extension office. In the fall, if we also have a project open house or a 4-H open house where you can come and see sort of a variety of projects that are available. That typically happens in October once we kick off the 4-H year. And then in the spring, again, we'll offer opportunities for people to just sign up to be a part of our program. January 15th is kind of a big deadline for us because that's when we really want to have our 4-Hers enrolled in 4-H, and we'll talk about that here in a minute too. Another question we get asked is, what else is there to do in 4-H besides the fair? The fair is 1 week of the year, right? 2 if you're doing pre-fair, if you count that. 2 weeks of the year. So what else does 4-H do? Why should my kid join 4-H? Trips is a big one. We are very passionate, especially in Hendricks County, to send kids on trips. And we're very excited that most of our trips this year are going to be in person again. Super excited to have that back. 4-H camp is for 3rd through 6th graders at Shakamak State Park. They are supervised by adult chaperones as well as trained counselors that are in high school. 4-H Roundup is at Purdue University, and it is for 7th through 9th graders, where they get to actually they get to stay in dorms, they get to experience college, classrooms, they get to meet with professors. Really awesome opportunity for 3 days up there. 4-H Academy is for our high school students, also at Purdue. Very similar to Roundup, but 4-H Academy allows kids to dive deeper into a certain area. So one area I will put a plug in because I get to help with this program. This year we're doing a session called Community Change Starts With Me, and we're going to talk about how youth can fight hunger and poverty within their community. We're going to do like a poverty simulation. We're going to get to talk to nonprofits around the state that actually help fight those issues within the community, and what does it mean for those kids to come back and have an action plan to be able to do something. Things like animal science, computer science, very hands-on, very engaged for our high school kids as well. State Junior Leader Conference is 9th through 12th graders that are in junior leaders. Citizenship Washington Focus, I believe you have to be 15 or above, and that is going to Washington, D.C., getting to explore Washington, D.C. with groups of 4-Hers from around the nation. 4-H Band and Chorus, we do have a band, a state band and a state choir for 4-Hers in high school. Yep, high school. They actually perform for the 4-H Roundup kids. So they go to Purdue a couple days ahead of time, and they get their music and they get their dance moves if you're in choir. The band does not dance, at least last I checked. But they get their music, and they are pretty much practicing morning to night, getting ready for their presentation that they then do later for the 4-H Roundup kids. Coming up in February, we have our Teens as Teachers, which is for grades 8 through 11. And those are 3 to 5 youth on teams that go get trained on how to actually teach younger kids a certain topic. So computer science, leadership activities. There's a space one this year. Lots of different really fun things that they can then bring back to teach within the community. And then next week, we actually have Indiana 4-H Day at the State House, where this is a brand new opportunity. We've got some 7th through 12th graders who are eligible to attend this, where they're going to get to meet with legislators from around the state, tour the State House, and really just be a presence of 4-H at the State House, which is kind of cool. And this is a bonus for Hendricks County specifically. Our 4-H Youth Council is very, very passionate about sending kids on trips. So very rarely do our 4-Hers pay full price. It is $180 for kids to go to 4-H Academy. And I think for first time attendees, it's $50 is what we ask you guys to pay. The council covers the rest or gets sponsorship because they know the importance of kids getting these experiences. Trip information is coming out soon. We just got all of that finalized with council earlier this week. So be on the lookout the middle of February for more information about trips. Scholarships is another big one. We just had a big deadline, January 25th, for Indiana 4-H scholarships. We have several local scholarships for high school students that are also due later, typically around March. Our Homemakers scholarship is due, I think, February 11th. So lots of producer scholarships, local clubs even have some scholarships. So that's a great opportunity specifically for our 4-Hers to be able to apply for. Other opportunities include Spark programs. So that's our short-term programs with a minimum of 6 hours designed to spark a new passion of some sort. You can see a couple examples up there. We have Clover Gaming Connection, which is the science behind board games. We've done Chef University, Chef U, which is designed to spark an interest in cooking, food safety, and experiencing foods from around the globe. We've got opportunities like performing arts, demonstrations, public speaking, club officers, being a junior leader, doing things like our junior leaders are doing tonight. Robotics, I do need a leader for that. That is something that we are struggling with right now. So if robotics is your thing, I'll put a plug in for that. We do a lot of STEM programs throughout the year. And then we have a lot of civic engagement and community service opportunities as well for kids to get involved with. So speaking of becoming a volunteer, we always need help in the 4-H. Volunteers are the backbone of our program. All of our volunteers, though, do go through a pretty rigorous screening process because they work with your most prized possessions, your kids, right? So we want to make sure our kids are kept safe. We want to make sure we're getting volunteers that are going to be a good fit for our program, represent 4-H well, and find something that they enjoy doing so it'll be beneficial to them as well. There is a screening process, which includes an application, a background check, some additional paperwork. Volunteers also have to have a 4-H online profile, and then do a youth safety and a diversity, equity, and inclusion training every year before they're approved to be a volunteer. Then they get to also meet with me to get placed within our program so we can figure out just where it is that it's going to work best for you to be a part of our program. Some opportunities include being leaders or assistant leaders of clubs, project leaders, leading a Spark program. Let's say you're really interested in scuba diving and we do not have a scuba diving project that kids could do. You could lead a Spark program based on scuba diving. I don't know where you would scuba dive in Hendricks County, but if that's your thing, let me know. I think that'd be really fun. We always need chaperones for trips. We need people to be on boards and committees to voice your thoughts and concerns and ideas so that we can make the best better within our program as well. And then we always do need fair volunteers to watch projects, help with kids, all that sort of stuff that comes with fair as well. Number 3 is, why do I have to do both 4-H online and fair entry, and what's the difference? So 4-H online, you signed up for 4-H on 4-H online. That's our enrollment database, has its contact information. It's pretty much how we communicate with you guys through email. That's where you say, I'm in this club, I want to do these projects. And it is also what we use to register for a lot of our events and scholarships too. So there's a way to take money on 4-H online for events and sign up for different activities on 4-H online. So that all happens. We really want stuff in for projects by May 15th so that on June 1st, we can have fair entry ready. Fair entry connects to 4-H online, but it is fair specific. So fair entry is where you're going to say what you're bringing to fair. So 4-H online, I have signed up for photography. 4-H online is where you say, I signed up for photography. Fair entry is where you say, I'm going to be bringing a 10 print black and white poster, level C, or whatever the level is, to be judged. It'll then create a tag that will go in the bottom corner, bottom right-hand corner, and that is what's used on all of our projects, posters, notebooks, displays. It has a barcode so that we can then go at fair, scan the barcode, check the project in, and then use that to also do our ribbon placing. So at the end of the fair, you can say, here's all the ribbon placings that I got. It's also what we use to connect with State Fair for projects. So if this lovely poster was one that was going to State Fair, we would have to put it in through fair entry to go to state. It's also what we use to create our livestock show programs with livestock. All right, 2 more questions. Hold on, let me tell my junior leaders. Junior leaders, I've got 2 questions left. 2 questions, okay. How much does 4-H really cost, right? And it really depends is the answer. We do have our $15 program fee. $1 of that goes to insurance for the kids. So if something were to happen at a 4-H event, parents' insurance covers, and then 4-H can then say, okay, it was a 4-H event. Were they doing what they were supposed to be doing? They could potentially be able to help out. The rest of that goes to state programming to also help with statewide initiatives and make sure 4-H has opportunities around the state for your kids. Project manuals, so the books like these, they range from $1 to $5 to $12. I think we have a cake decorating one for $15. We have some electric kits that are higher up in price because they have everything you need to do an electric project. And then poster board and supplies are just a few dollars depending on where you get them. We do offer poster board, these sleeves and these poster boards that we have like sleeves like this and poster board like this available in the extension office at all times for sale. If you are showing livestock, except for cats, dogs, little critters, llamas, and horses, you have to participate in a program called YQCA, which we'll talk about here in a bit, but it's Youth for the Quality Care of Animals, and it can range from $3 if you attend the in-person event, $12 if you take it online, or $30+ if you do the test out option. And we'll talk about that in a minute too. Some clubs and projects have additional fees. So shooting sports has some because to help cover ammo for the kids. Beef Club is an example. They might have additional fees for their club. And then project costs just vary in general. There's a big difference in doing a poster like the ones you see up here compared to raising a pig, right? There's just going to be some differences there. You could have a $300 poster. That's not for me to say. And you could have, I guess, a $20 pig. That is also not for me to say. But they're just going to cost, that cost is just going to vary project to project. And trips will also have additional costs usually. But the great thing is we also typically have scholarships available for almost everything. We have money set aside if you are unable to afford the $15 program fee, we have scholarships available. If you need help covering books, we have scholarships available for that. Trip money is available if you really want your kid to go on that trip, but $50 is just a little too much to spend right now. Our council is very supportive in making sure our kids can do 4-H and break down as many barriers as possible for you guys. And so finally, the last question that we get asked most often is, what are the most important dates for 4-H? And just to go over a couple of these, we have several important dates. Every day is a great day to be a 4-H'er, right? But our enrollment typically kicks off October 1st, and January 15th is what we call our encouraged enrollment date. So if you try and enroll in 4-H January 16th, you're not going to be kicked out. We just, on January 15th, that's really our target deadline, because that's when we will stop using last year's 4-H online information. So if you are not enrolled by January 15th, you may stop getting emails from us, just because we're not going to use last year's 4-H online information anymore. We're only going to use the current 4-H year after January 15th. But again, you can always come in and sign up after January 15th, but we really want that to be our target date. May 15th is our drop add deadline, so we really like to have projects added or dropped by that date, if at all possible, just so we can make sure fair entry is also ready and up and going by June 1st. That is when livestock identification information is due in 4-H online. So if you're showing a cow, a sheep, a pig, by May 15th, you need to have the information specific to that species in 4-H online, or you risk not being able to show at the county or the state fair. June 1st is when fair entry opens. And so again, that's the system that tells you what you're bringing to fair. And we try and have that stuff in by early July. So again, tags can be printed, everything can be ready to go for fair. Pre-fair week for judging indoor projects is going to be July 10th through the 16th. We're still finalizing the schedule. That does not mean every single day that day is going to be judging. We're going to have some different days for specific projects. Excuse me. We are also planning on at least one drop-off day, so that if you cannot be here or you choose not to participate in judging in person for safety, health reasons, whatever you would like, we are going to have, I think, at least one day for that. Fair is the 17th through the 23rd of July. And then the 24th, which is the Sunday after fair, is our achievement program. And that's when we celebrate our 4-H'ers. It usually involves a meal, yay. And it involves celebrating our 10-year members and our seniors, kind of sending them off into the world. And we also recognize our award winners for the year. So it's a great opportunity to just come celebrate with your 4-H family. And then we get to do it all over again. We take a nice little break and start all over again in October. The state fair does happen in August as well. So, junior leaders, time to come back. We are going to regroup. While they are regrouping, I'm going to check the chat box, see if there's any questions. None so far. All right, 4-H'ers, did you have fun? Yeah. Maybe learn something, see some projects, new projects that you didn't know existed, or projects you might be interested in. Yeah, maybe. All right, so what's next? It's go time. It's go time for y'all. So now is the time to pick out your projects. If you have projects you want to add or drop, call our office. We're happy to get that figured out on 4-H Online for you. Go to club meetings. Club meetings are really going to start gearing up here in the spring. Again, it is not mandatory or required to go to club meetings, but you're going to get a lot out of the club meetings you are able to go to. Workshops will start happening here again in the spring. Check out new projects. Livestock members, if you are planning on showing an animal, make sure you're paying attention to deadlines, such as, especially if you need to bring an animal in to get tagged or a tattoo. All that information will be sent out to any livestock member. Get involved. Start doing community service with your club. Check out the opportunities we have coming up. Read your newsletter, or at least skim it. And then stay tuned for more detailed information about the fair coming in spring, early summer. A big one for our 4-H'ers. So we don't do a lot of raising funds, fundraisers specifically, but we do have one county-wide one that we strongly encourage our 4-H members to participate in, and that's our spring flower sales. So we sell geraniums and petunias, and we strongly encourage, it is not required, but we encourage our 4-H members to sell, not only because their clubs get a portion of that fund, they'll get 10% of the sales, but also that's what helps fund the trips. That's what helps fund programming in our county, and that's also what helps fund a lot of the awards and stuff that'll be given out during the achievement banquet after fair. Orders are due to club leaders March 21st. And then pickup is at the end of April. We put to be determined on there because we're still working out final details of when that would be. Talk to your club leader, and everybody should be getting information within the next couple weeks. And as an added bonus, for every $100 of flowers you sell, you get $5 to the 4-H cafe during the fair. So think about that. Think about how many milkshakes you could get if you sell a couple $100 worth of flowers. You wouldn't even have to ask mom or dad for money because you would have your own. Anyway, great opportunity to at least be a part of those fundraising efforts within the county. And if there are any questions, talk to us, talk to your club leader. More information is coming in the mail though. 3rd through 6th graders. Do I have any 3rd through 6th graders? 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th graders? Cool. Wow, that's good. Awesome. So you guys are eligible to go to 4-H camp. And 4-H camp is 3 days at Shakamak State Park this summer, June 15th through the 17th. This is a picture of one of the, I think that's our, that's the cafeteria, where we stay in air-conditioned cabins. We camp with Boone, Montgomery, and Tipton counties. So you get to meet people from all over the state, or at least in those 4 counties. And then we have lots of fun. They have a really awesome pool. We do lots of fun activities, games, play outside. So more information will be coming out probably mid-March, as well as cost and a more detailed kind of agenda of what we have going on those 3 days. That being said, if there are older kids here tonight, we are looking for camp counselors. Those are 9th through 12th graders. We do camp counselor trainings with them to make sure that they are prepared for 4-H camp, and they're the ones that get to help. You can see a couple pictures there. One is the giant group of 4-Hers and counselors, and then one is our goofy group of counselors there. We do have a really fun time at camp. It is one of my favorite things to go to. Livestock people, except for horse and pony, cats, dogs, little critters, and llama alpacas. You will have to take a training called Youth for the Quality Care of Animals, YQCA for short. There's different ways to take that. One is going to be in person, one is going to be online. This is something that is mandated across the board. Like, you have to take this if you would like to show your animal. It's all about safe practices with animals, healthy practices with animals, making sure your animal's being well cared for, and that you are being an advocate for the animal industry as well. In-person trainings are $3. Online trainings are $12. And then there's a test out option for older kids. That's, I think, $36 online only. You have to take it. We are going to have some dates in person here. Our Ag and Natural Resources educator helps me lead those, which I'm very grateful for. So he helps lead those. You can also go to other counties. So we'll share dates, like Boone County is having some, Montgomery County, Putnam County. We'll share those dates. So if an in-person date doesn't work for you here, you can go to any other county as well and take that. We do have some spring break programs happening the last week of March. We've got Chef University, which is an awesome opportunity to learn about cooking around the world. We got some really yummy recipes. That's going to be for 3rd through 5th graders, I believe. We've got our gym curriculum we're working on, which is Get Experience in Mindfulness. So stress relieving, talking about mental health, mental well-being, lots of really awesome activities to go along with that. And then we are going to have a couple days of STEM makerspace. So just exploring STEM and some cool resources we have in the office. Be on the lookout for more information about those coming out soon. Just a reminder, tonight you can pick up your new family guide. It is also available online. It has really basic information about our 4-H program, some fun pictures, some information in there, infographics, all sorts of goodies. I want to share our contact information. We are on Facebook as Purdue Extension, Hendricks County. We are on Instagram as Hendricks Co 4-H. We're on Twitter and YouTube as well. I will say a lot of our stuff is mostly Facebook and Instagram though. Our website is up there. It's really long. This will be available after tonight. But if you Google Purdue Extension Hendricks County, it will also show up. And at this time, I will take some questions if you have them. But before I forget, those of you that are here in person, if you wouldn't mind filling out this survey card and dropping it off on your way out, I would appreciate it. I will put a link in the chat box for those of you that are joining virtually to fill out as well. So at this time, I will take any questions. Those of you online can unmute if you want or type in the chat box, whatever works better for you. Yeah. That's a good question. So our rabbit project shows ARBA standard rabbits. So if they are a specific breed of rabbit, they're going to get judged on that breed's qualities within the rabbit project. If it is a, what's what I'm looking for? Crossbred, like, I'd say like a mutt, like if you go to the Humane Society, like if we're talking dogs, like if it's a mix of rabbits and it's not specific to a certain breed, that's going to fall under little critters. If you're doing little critters, no. But if you're doing rabbits, yes. Yep. Other questions? Yes. So the question was, those online, is it going to be a modified fare? So we're still working on the fare schedule. We're trying to, quote, get back to normal as much as possible. But there's still a lot that we have to still figure out. So we're hoping it's not going to look like last year. I know that much. Does that make sense? So, and I'll be honest, I also can't for sure say, so I'm coming off of my 4-month maternity leave, and have not gotten up to speed quite yet on what our fare schedule is currently. Good question, though. Yes. Yep, question was about our handbooks. So once our handbook is sent to the printers, you will actually be able to access it online. It'll be broken out by project. So if you're looking at aerospace specifically, you can look at those rules or guidelines. We will have hard copies available in the office that has everything in it. And it should be, I'm hoping in the next 2 weeks to get everything finalized. It's just been a lot to look over, but once it is set and we are done, like the online version will be ready as soon as it goes to the printers. It is emailed through 4-H Online. There's an attachment. It is also on our website too. And I should also add, she asked about newsletters. If for whatever reason you would prefer a hard copy, we can make that accommodation as well and get a hard copy in the mail to you. That's fine. Great. No. Oh. Great question. Great question. So she asked about club meetings, and if parents need to stay at club meetings. I will say every club's a little bit different. It is usually encouraged that you're sticking around with your 4-H member. So I get the privilege to deal with our mini 4-Hers, which are our first and second graders, and then our junior leaders. At those events, I encourage the parents to stick around, but they can kind of just hang out and do whatever. Like I've had parents bring work, I've had parents bring books, and just have that time to themselves. For junior leaders, because they are a little older, I've had parents also say, hey, I need to run across the street to Walmart, but they've left the contact information in case I needed to get to them. So it really just depends club to club. A lot of clubs, I think it's going to be a short enough time that you wouldn't have time to like run far away and do stuff, but it just sort of depends. Oh, and I do have a question online. So somebody asked about if you contact me to learn more about clubs. So if you put that on 4-H Online, you should have gotten an email or should be getting an email from us saying, hey, let's talk, because we're going to find a club that's going to work best for you. So that's for people that just didn't know what club necessarily they wanted to be placed in. If you have since then figured out, hey, I want to be in this club, let us know and we'll get that changed over on our end. Good question. All right, I am going to say, we have 5 minutes, so I will stick around. If anybody else has questions, if you're online and have questions, I'm happy to stick around and answer those as well. Again, you can unmute or type them in the chat box. But I want to say thank you guys so much for coming. Again, if you don't mind filling out the survey cards, stick them on the table on your way out. I'll be here for questions if you have any. Otherwise, everybody have a great night. Thank you very much.